The White House is targeting Democratic critics of the Department of Government Efficiency Doge, pointing out that key Democratic figures once supported similar reforms. In a recent post on X, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt shared a video featuring Presidents Obama and Biden, who previously advocated reforms like those Doge supports. To all Democrats planning protests this week, here's a message from your party's leaders, Leavitt said, highlighting the same priorities now championed by Doge. Obama famously stated, "Budget reform is not an option, it's a necessity." He added that we can't sustain a system that wastes taxpayer money on outdated programs. Biden emphasized that Americans are entitled to transparency and that we must ensure tax dollars are used for their intended purposes. These ideas match Doge's mission. Despite this, Democrats have recently criticized Doge and its leader, Elon Musk, arguing that Trump's initiative violates the Constitution. Several lawsuits have been filed. But here's the twist. Many of Doge's goals align with ideas Obama and Biden once supported. Obama himself pushed for cutting wasteful government spending line by line. "We will go through the budget, eliminating unnecessary programs," Obama said in his speech. Sounds like Doge's plan, right? Aiming to cut waste and improve efficiency. Obama also stressed, "No amount of waste is acceptable when it's your money." Biden echoed this, calling for a cultural shift that future administrations should follow. Recent polls show public support for Doge is growing. A Trafalgar Group survey found 49% of Americans approve of Doge's efforts, with only 44% disapproving. So, where do you stand? Are Democrats wrong to oppose Doge, or are they missing the bigger picture? One thing's clear, the debate isn't going away anytime soon. Reports initially indicated that the National Nuclear Security Administration (NNSA) laid off 325 employees. The NNSA manages U.S. nuclear weapons and secures nuclear materials worldwide. These materials include securing nuclear resources in war-torn Ukraine, where security is a major concern. The agency's role includes preventing nuclear materials from falling into the wrong hands amid ongoing conflicts. When the layoff news broke, it sparked major concerns about the safety of the nation's nuclear weapons and global stability. The NNSA plays a key role in safeguarding the nation's nuclear deterrent, working globally on non-proliferation efforts. So, when the layoff notices were circulated, many worried about the consequences on national security. As news of the layoffs spread, panic and confusion took hold. Employees received notices only to have those decisions reversed hours later, creating chaos within the agency. The uncertainty surrounding these decisions led many staff members to fear for their jobs, especially with national security at risk. Offices in Washington, D.C., and across the country were impacted by this confusion, leaving many unsure of their status. This led to major concerns about the Trump administration's approach to budget cuts in sensitive areas like nuclear security. The layoffs were part of a broader effort to reduce wasteful government spending, affecting multiple federal departments. This included the Department of Energy, Agriculture, Veterans Affairs, and Health and Human Services. These cuts were aimed at streamlining operations and eliminating unnecessary expenditures. Despite the initial reports, the actual number of layoffs was lower than expected. The Department of Energy clarified that fewer than 50 NNSA employees were let go in total. These dismissed workers were primarily probationary employees in clerical and administrative roles. They did not hold positions directly related to nuclear security or safety. The department emphasized that the NNSA would continue its critical mission to protect national security. They would also continue to modernize America's nuclear weapons and promote non-proliferation. Despite the smaller-than-expected layoffs, the public perception remained one of concern, especially from Democratic lawmakers. Senator Patty Murray and Representative Marcy Kaptur voiced their worries, urging that the full impact of these layoffs on national security was still unclear. They warned that the consequences could be severe. They questioned the Trump administration's handling of such sensitive matters, given the NNSA's vital role. Lawmakers emphasized that cuts in this area could have far-reaching impacts on both national and global security. The concerns raised by lawmakers reflect the importance of carefully evaluating such layoffs before they occur. This chaotic episode underscored the challenges of balancing fiscal responsibility with national security. While fewer people were laid off than initially reported, the chaos revealed a larger issue. The handling of national security agencies in budget-cutting efforts will face more scrutiny moving forward. As the world faces growing nuclear threats, the question remains: can the US maintain nuclear security with fewer resources? Will such cuts compromise the safety of the nation and the world? It's clear that these decisions need to be carefully considered. The situation highlighted the tension between reducing government spending and protecting the country's most sensitive assets. For now, the question of how these cuts will affect global nuclear security remains unanswered. But one thing is certain: the debate over national security and government spending is far from over. Justin Trudeau's latest social media post has sparked some serious chatter. After a heated loss to the US in a four-nations face-off game, the Canadian Prime Minister shared his pride for his country, declaring, "I'm damn proud of Canada." But not everyone shared his enthusiasm. The game saw fans in Canada booing the US national anthem, a spectacle that didn't sit well with American players. As the puck dropped, things quickly escalated. In just 9 seconds, gloves hit the ice and 3 fights broke out. It was intense, with the US eventually claiming a 3-1 victory. While this may seem like just another heated moment in sports, it's been part of a larger ongoing issue. The booing isn't new. After former President Trump's announcement of tariffs on Canada, similar scenes played out in NHL games, prompting players to speak out. Drew Doughty, a Canadian player, shared his thoughts before the game, emphasizing the need for respect. "I understand the frustration, but we should respect the anthems." U.S. defenseman Zach Werenski echoed that sentiment, admitting the boos were expected but still unwelcome. "We don't like it," he said. "But what's really behind this? Could it be a lingering tension between the two nations, or is it simply passionate fans taking the rivalry too far?" Whether it's political tension or just the heat of the game, one thing's for sure: both sides have strong opinions. Former Biden White House press secretary Jen Psaki criticized Kamala Harris for ending her campaign with Liz Cheney. Psaki questioned the choice, saying it was a misstep. "I don't think that was the right strategy," she told Jon Stewart on *, The Weekly Show. Psaki acknowledged Cheney's role in the January 6th committee, calling her heroic, but argued the Democrats' failure was in not connecting with ordinary Americans. "We were speaking in an academic, ivory tower manner," Psaki said. She claimed the Democratic messaging didn't address issues voters care about. Cheney, once a strong Trump supporter, became estranged from him after the Capitol riot. Her impeachment vote and loss of her House seat reflected this split. Psaki's criticism also included the broader Democratic communication failure. She said their language often felt out of touch with the average American. In this tense political climate, Psaki's remarks reveal ongoing struggles within the Democratic Party to find the right message. The battle for voters is far from over. As the Daytona 500 revs up this Sunday, former President Donald Trump was on hand to cheer on the fearless NASCAR drivers ready to hit speeds near 200 miles per hour. The race, known as the Great American Race, marks the beginning of the NASCAR season at Daytona International Speedway. Trump, making his second appearance at this iconic event, led the drivers on a lap before the race kicked off. And as the engines were about to roar to life, Trump took a moment to praise the courage of the drivers. "They have a lot of guts," he told Fox Sports' Jamie Little, clearly impressed by their bravery. This year, Trump wasn't just watching from the sidelines. He also shared an uplifting message for the drivers before they sped off into the race. "This is your favorite. I'm a big fan of you people," he said over the radio, adding, "You're talented, great Americans. Have a lot of fun, and I'll see you later." Trump also took the time to highlight the country's recent progress since the beginning of his second term. "I think it's fantastic. The country is doing well again. There's spirit all over the world," he said. For Trump, the race symbolizes much more than just speed. It represents the resilient American spirit, one that he believes will fuel a brighter future. In a statement before heading to Daytona Beach, Florida, Trump further celebrated the race. "The Daytona 500 showcases the fastest, most fearless drivers, representing America's love for tradition, competition, and automotive innovation," he said. "From the roar of the engines to the echo of the Star-Spangled Banner, it's a tribute to the spirit that makes America great." With Trump's words of encouragement, this year's Daytona 500 feels even more significant. It's not just a race, it's a celebration of the American drive to succeed. Fans and drivers alike will no doubt carry that message into the thrilling race ahead. Mac users beware. AI-powered malware threats on the rise. Apple users, we've got to talk. For years, Apple's reputation for security has made many of us feel like our devices are nearly invincible. You know the tagline, privacy. That's Apple. Sounds reassuring, right? But here's the thing, times are changing. Even Apple's fortress-like systems are now being targeted, and AI-powered malware is making those attacks more dangerous than ever before. So, what's going on here? Well, a new report has sounded the alarm for Mac users. It seems that cybercriminals are getting smarter, and AI is helping them break through even the toughest defenses. Malware that once only plagued Windows PCs is now on the rise, creeping into the Mac ecosystem with alarming speed. For a long time, Mac malware was mostly just a nuisance, annoying pop-ups and browser hijackers, but nothing that couldn't be cleaned up with a quick fix. But now, a new breed of malware is on the scene, far more destructive. The rise of information stealers has changed the game. These are programs designed to snatch up your passwords, credit card details, and even access your cryptocurrency wallets. It's like a digital thief sneaking through your door. One of the most notorious examples is Amos Atomic Stealer, which first showed up in mid-2023. Unlike the usual Mac threats, Amos had a slick interface and was sold as a service. Yep, criminals could pay for this malware, use it, and even control it remotely. But it didn't stop there. Fast forward to mid-2024, and now we're looking at Poseidon, a much more potent variant, responsible for 70% of infections. This new threat doesn't just steal passwords, it drains over 160 cryptocurrency wallets and even grabs VPN credentials. And to make matters worse, hackers are using malvertising, fake ads on search engines like Google and Bing, to trick unsuspecting users into downloading malware. These aren't random attacks, they're laser-focused, targeting people searching for specific things on their Macs. And this isn't just a Mac issue. Android users are dealing with an even worse situation. Phishing attacks have become massive, with thousands of malicious apps designed to trick users into handing over their sensitive information. It's easy for these apps to sneak past Google's defenses because they require fewer permissions than traditional malware. Some of these phishing apps even impersonate popular apps, from games to social media, making them harder to spot. They might lie dormant for days before they launch their attack, which only makes them trickier. So, what can you do to protect yourself? Get solid antivirus software. Trust me, a good antivirus can catch malicious links before they do any damage. It'll also warn you about phishing emails or ransomware. Be cautious with downloads. Only download software from trusted sources, like the Mac App Store or official websites. And never click on suspicious links that show up in random emails. Keep your software up to date. Both macOS and your apps need regular security updates. Turn on automatic updates to stay protected. Use strong, unique passwords. Don't reuse passwords, and consider using a password manager. It's an easy way to keep your accounts secure and avoid accidental breaches. Enable two-factor authentication 2FA. This adds an extra layer of protection. Even if someone gets your password, they won't be able to access your account without the second step. The bottom line? No device is truly safe anymore, and Mac users need to wake up to this reality. The rise of AI-powered threats means the stakes are higher than ever. Stay vigilant, and make sure you've got strong protection in place, because the cyber criminals aren't slowing down. A slithery surprise recently caused a stir in a New Hampshire grocery store. You're casually strolling through the aisles when you hear a commotion about something unexpected. It turns out that something was a venomous snake. Sounds like a scene from a movie, right? But it happened, and it's got conservation officers scratching their heads. The snake was found at Market Basket in Manchester, New Hampshire, when staff reported an unwanted hitchhiker in the banana shipment. The culprit? An ornate cat-eyed snake. This species, while mildly venomous, isn't something you'd expect in your fruit. So, how did it end up in New Hampshire? Ecuador is one of the largest banana exporters to the US. While bananas were the main focus, the snake hitched a ride. The snake likely curled up among the bananas, unaware of the commotion it would cause. Conservation Officer Griffin McEwen responded to the call. He said, "We've had a few calls about pet surrenders, like ball pythons, but never a venomous snake." What makes this case interesting is that, in New Hampshire, possessing a venomous snake except for the hog-nosed is illegal. The snake was deemed safe and transferred to a new facility. The snake was taken to Rainforest Reptile Shows Inc., a northern Massachusetts facility that specializes in reptile care. A reminder that wildlife is always keeping us on our toes. Next time you're grabbing bananas, give them a quick check. You never know what might be hiding in the fruit aisle. Have you heard? President Trump's tariffs are shaking up the Ohio steel industry. Robert Simon, CEO of JSW Steel USA, recently shared some exciting news with Fox News Digital. He believes these tariffs will boost the Ohio steel plant's operations and increase jobs in the coming years. What does this mean for Ohio's steel industry? According to Simon, the plant is on track to increase its production capacity from 68% to 84% in the next year. And that's just the beginning. This growth could lead to more than 100 new jobs over the next 12 months. Sounds great, right? Well, Simon has a valid reason to celebrate. With over 30 years of experience in the steel business, he's seen how unfair foreign competition has affected U.S. manufacturers. Foreign steelmakers have been able to avoid strict U.S. regulations, paying unfair wages and ignoring environmental rules, Simon explained. But we've been doing things by the book, and it's time for fairness. Under Trump's administration, the plan is to impose reciprocal tariffs on steel and aluminum. This means that countries who impose tariffs on U.S. goods will face the same tariffs in return. It's simple, yet effective: treat us fairly, and we'll do the same. For U.S. manufacturers, it's a win. It encourages foreign companies to build factories in the U.S. instead of sending goods here, which will create even more jobs for Americans. But that's not all. The Ohio plant, which had been dormant for years before JSW USA purchased it in 2018, is now coming back to life. Simon pointed out that some workers' grandparents had worked in the same factory, and now their grandchildren are part of its revival. It's a powerful reminder of the lasting impact of the steel industry on local communities. And with the plant's revival, the local economy gets a major boost. The jobs created are more than just numbers. They're real people returning to work, rebuilding communities, and contributing to the nation's industrial revival. Simon's excitement about the future is clear. The company is already on track to exceed Trump's tariff target of 80% utilization, reaching 84%. As the industry gears up for more production, the ripple effect could be felt far beyond Ohio. The U.S. steel industry has faced challenges for years, but with these tariffs, it's looking brighter than ever. The boost in production will not only help local economies but also strengthen America's position in global trade. As Simon said, it's a very exciting time for us. So, what's the bottom line here? Trump's tariffs may be a hot topic, but for Ohio steelworkers and manufacturers, it's a golden opportunity. With increased production, more jobs, and fairer trade, the future looks promising. For many, it's not just about steel, it's about rebuilding the American workforce, one job at a time. Have you ever wondered where your tax dollars go? The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development HUD just made a big splash with its latest initiative. HUD Secretary Scott Turner introduced a task force designed to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. This isn't just about red tape, it's about using taxpayer money wisely. Here's the big win. The task force helped recover a staggering $1.9 billion. This money was misplaced during the Biden administration and is now ready for better use. The task force, supported by Doge, worked with Turner to make this happen. The funds have now been moved to the U.S. Department of Treasury for more effective spending. Turner explained that the HUD task force will ensure every dollar works hard for the American people. Their goal is simple: eliminate waste and maximize efficiency. Already, the HUD task force has saved over $260 million. And Turner is clear: this is just the beginning. They plan to dig deeper into the department's spending. It's not just HUD getting involved. Other agencies, like the EPA, are also cracking down on unnecessary spending. The EPA canceled a $50 million grant just last week. So, what does this mean for you? The Doge task force is on a mission to reshape government spending and make sure your tax dollars are being used efficiently. The push for accountability is stronger than ever, and the task force is just getting started. What do you think of these moves to save taxpayer money? Let us know.